Hey guys, Joe here at JP Details with how to wet sand scuffs and scratches. I've been wanting to make this video for quite some time and today, finally, I've got around to making it. Unfortunately, the Volkswagen Caddy took a bit of a knock a few months ago as I made good friends with the gate round the front of the unit. Me being in a rush thinking, yeah, I can squeeze through that gap. Turns out I couldn't. The white gate has left quite a nasty scuff on the front bumper, which I'm pretty sure some of it is paint transfer and some areas do look as if they have gone down to the primer. I'm not sure how well I'm going to be able to rectify this troublesome defect, but the only way to find out is to give it a go. The first step is to wipe the area down with either water or a detail spray and then set about wet sanding the area using something along the lines of 2500 grit wet and dry sandpaper. I also use a Maguire sanding block which is made of a tough foam material, and I'll wrap the sandpaper around it and set about giving those troublesome areas a good going over. You'll usually tend to find that you'll be less careful, so to speak, with your own vehicles, particularly if it's your daily work van. However, this footage of me going for quite a while with the sandpaper should make you realise that the paintwork can take a bit of sanding. Bumpers, generally speaking, are a little bit of a mystery in terms of what the depth of the paintwork is like. From past experience, I would hazard a guess that the paintwork on bumpers is a little bit thinner than on the rest of the metal bodywork. Paint depth gauges, unless you have a really fancy one, won't be able to measure the depth of the paintwork against the plastic surface. So, depending on what type of vehicle you are working on, may require you to go at it with caution.
There. Just a tad. Got a bit more damage done on this one. Quite a bit more.
The objective when wet sanding is to get the subject area completely flatted down with an even and light grey finish, which is simply due to smoothing down those top layers of clear coat and essentially roughing them up. If there is any metallic silver bits showing through or whatever colour the car is, then obviously you haven't wet sanded enough. The way to check to make sure all areas are at an even finish and nicely sanded back is to simply pause what you are doing, dry the area of paintwork, give it a minute for the area to fully air dry, and then take an inspection to see what it is looking like. If it needs a bit more sanding, then go ahead and do a bit more, but just remember, particularly with a customer's vehicle, and if you aren't quite as experienced as me, then I would say the safe bet is to stop when you stop feeling comfortable. I would highly advise for you to try wet sanding either your own vehicle or a beat up motor that doesn't really matter if you sand through the paintwork on, just to give you that initial bit of confidence and experience before taking to a vehicle in the real world. For me, after a few additional passes on my troublesome defect, I decided that I'd done enough. There are some areas where the paint has been completely removed, which is unfortunate, but it did look bad to begin with. Luckily for me, Dr. Colour Chip had recently sent me out 2 touch-up kits, one for the Caddy and the other for the Focus RS, so I decided today to see what I can do with this front bumper disaster. I am going to make a specific video on this product going through the correct procedure, let's say, because today I didn't really follow the kit by the instructions. I assumed that I should wet sand the area, apply the paint, wet sand again, apply another layer of paint, wet sand again, and then machine polish and jobs are good 'un. However, it didn't turn out to be the case, although I still made a nice improvement.
Okay, this is going to take me longer than I thought. Oh, there is.
By all means, at this point you could just machine polish the area and not bother applying any fresh paint, and the results would be 10 times better than they were. However, I decided to go one step further. So this isn't the correct method of applying a Dr. Colour Chip kit, as it turned out, so I'm just going to leave you with a bit of footage of myself filling in those deeper marks, although I will be back in the not so distant future with the correct application process. So like I mentioned earlier, I decided to apply the paint, wet sand it back, apply some more paint, then wet sand it back again, and I then cracked out the Rupes Mini Bigfoot with a 3-inch microfiber cutting pad and the Rupes Green Medium compound. I set about giving the area a thorough machine polish with the initial cutting stage to restore the paintwork from the sanding marks. Being careful not to build up too much heat on the surface of the paintwork, which is known as destructive machine polishing, whilst making sure that all areas are thoroughly gone over. This is one of those satisfying moments in detailing when we start to see the newly found condition of the paintwork, although please bear in mind the footage that I show you later in natural light is far more rewarding in terms of the finished results. After I utilised the cutting stage to start bringing the paintwork back, I swapped out the microfiber pads for the Rupes white finishing pads and applied a few blobs of the Rupes white finishing polish, and once again gave the troublesome area a good going over with the finishing stage. Please bear with me as I do manage to dial that new paint back a bit. I mean, I've made a huge difference in comparison to what it was like before, and even when I walk around the van whilst going about my daily life nowadays, that defect that used to be so obvious and hideous no longer screams out at me. In fact, in real world conditions and lighting, the subject area has blended in okay. It isn't perfect by any means, but it's good enough for the work fan. It beats going to the body shop for a complete bumper respray at a couple £100 anyway. As always, thank you for watching, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, smash that like button to show a bit of support, and why not follow me on Facebook and Instagram, just search JP Details. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll hopefully catch you in the next one.